Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here. We're back a little bit later. John admitted to me that he forgot we were recording. Came down like, oh, shoot, we're recording.
You moved me off my day. My routine was all thrown. Maybe on Tuesday nights, I am usually yodeling at 8:30, and this has thrown me. It's possible.
I apologize, John. I apologize. Had some unforeseen.
Were you yodeling?
Yeah, no, it was not yodeling. It was not yodeling.
Bummer.
I'm not doing it.
I wish you were yodeling. Probably better than whatever was through it.
I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about this in the car drive home. So after reading through the news, which I shouldn't do. So we named this. We named the show. We named this show RFK Refugees.
Mm-hmm.
And we picked that because of the the love we had for RFK Stadium and everything like that. What do you? But I want to get your question. Obviously, that there is another RFK out there, current head of our public health, who thinks that whales are being killed by water windmills. I don't know. I don't know. We live in a purely dumb timeline, people.
Interesting.
Which do you think is worse? The fact that we would be associated with RFK Jr. or we'd be associated right now with the current iteration of D.C. United?
That's a good question. I think it really depends on the week. I think it depends on the news cycle. Really, I hadn't heard this Wales thing, so that maybe this week we're going to tilt on that side. But maybe if we lose 7-0 against NYCFC and RFK Jr. has a quieter week, maybe it swings back the pendulum to the other side. It's you get to pick depending.
And this is not me. This is not me posing. We change our brand. We have our brand.
Oh, we're going to keep to the wheels fall off.
We already attempted to do this once.
Yeah,
we attempted and we ultimately just decided that
longtime fans will remember their United 96 stickers somewhere in their collections.
We are stuck to the brand. Fortunately, the DC United will hopefully be forever, and hopefully will be better times, and we can all laugh at how sad things are. But John, before we, I just wanted to get that out of the chat. I'm curious if anyone on the show has any thoughts on what's worse right now. I don't know if we have many people in the live chat. We're off our game right now.
Right.
But John, how you doing?
We kept the show a secret.
How was your weekend?
My weekend, it was this is the first show since my kids started school, so I'm very tired all the time. She has to get to school an hour and a half earlier than she used to, so that means everyone's life is somewhat chaotic for the first however long it's going to be. But other than that, I'm alive. I'm kicking. I'm trying to get to bed earlier, I guess. Maybe is my plan. Be a little bit more responsible. What did I do this weekend? I don't really know. It's sort of a blur. I think recovered from the week and got ready to go watch some soccer, watch some baseball.
Nice.
That's it. I think the most exciting thing that's coming up for me soccer wise in the next week is I'm going to go see the Spirit against the Vancouver team, whatever that team is from whatever that league is.
Vancouver Academy team is what I'm
We're
seeing.
Gonna beat the brakes off them. It's gonna be fun. Considering was the final score in Allianz of 7-0?
7-0, yes. 7-0, yes.
Get ready, Vancouver. You were about to experience pain in a brand new way. How was your weekend?
It was good. I caught a little bit of the Spirit. I caught like the first half of it, so maybe some small little thoughts on it. Not enough. Then I went out on Saturday and saw a soccer team I support win a game live in person, which I haven't had since May. So it's been very much rough times. You
just got to keep moving down the pyramid. Like if that doesn't work, you got to find like a high school team that you support to get to watch them win.
I do. I could go to maybe join the Annapolis Blues or there
you go. Maybe they win sometimes.
Shoot, I can't think of the team that plays out in Newport News right now.
Lionsbridge.
Yeah, Lionsbridge. I could go out and do that. Maybe that
they made it to their division final this year.
Oh, nice, very nice.
So they might win. That's good chances.
Good relationship between the Kickers fans and Lionsbridge fans. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk DC United. Let's talk very a mixed type of week. DC United, of course, picking up a 1-1 draw against Inter Miami. A game that obviously, at this point, DC United is eliminated from the playoffs. That was pretty much known. This officially mathematically eliminates them. They are done. They are finished. They are toast for this year. It's all about 2026. Um, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to watch this game, and you see some positive. You see some positive things coming out of this game. You saw Renee Weiler throw a little bit of curveball. We all kind of assumed to be Dominic Baji, would be Benteke Light out there, and Renee Weiler was like, I watched this version, and it wasn't very good. Jackson Hopkins, why don't you get a run out there? And better yet, I'll make you the captain. We did get a question related to this during the post-game press conference. This is from Slide Tackle 84 in Discord. Renee stated, to be captain is not important to me. I hope to not only have one captain, but 20. Will this motivate the team to take more personal responsibility, or does it degrade the trust and faith placed in Benteke, take away from Hopkins getting the confidence boost? Seems like a bold statement for the first full week in charge. I don't. Yeah.
Hernan Losada said something similar when he took over. Fans have a different perspective on what the captain's armband means than the players do, I think. And I think also there's like this imported concept of it from England, where it is very, very, very important from a fan perspective, from a player perspective. And I think fans brought that over here, and it was like, it's also very important here. But I don't really think it is. I think it's just, it was funny. Like, all of it was like funny. Like, well, when's the last time you played up front, Jackson? Like in a real way? The academy? Sick. All right, let's give it a shot. We're eliminated probably at the end of this game. And who wants to be captain? Who's been here the longest? Jackson? Weird. All right, yeah, here, you can have the armband too. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do think it is something that was sort of built upon the Montreal game. He was in the fact that what we saw out of the Montreal game was Jackson Hopkins being the one kind of leading the press, leading the charge, and it was effective against Montreal, and it was effective against Inter Miami. Granted, a very, very diluted side. Luis Suarez was not out there. I think Sergio Busquets was the only player of the Barcelona trio, and then their new player that they signed, I think, also made an appearance out there. Messi, of course, was not. Yeah, DePaul got an assist. Messi, of course, was not out there. So all the positives we're going to draw from this can be taken as a massive grain of salt, considering this was not a Messi Inter Miami type roster. This was very much a rotated roster. They have a game, I think, coming up tomorrow against Orlando for Leagues Cup semifinal. So they have more important things to sort of fry on their plate than a game against a bad DC.
I will, however, there's a slight correction. Luis Suarez did play and played 30 minutes. It's okay. Busquets played 35 minutes. DePaul played 30 minutes. Kramaski was a player that up until this year was considered a starter. Fafa Pico played the whole 90 minutes. So I would say this was a diminished side because we only got but they could have played a worse side. So I think that it is certainly, don't get it twisted. Don't think this is the beginning of a big turnaround. I don't think we're not alluding to that whatsoever. And maybe it is a little bit just from a perspective of, and we can talk a little bit more about the choices made by the coach. But they were trying. Like, this was a team that was trying to get. They were clearly thinking they could go in half in and still walk away with 3 points, and they were wrong. But some good things to build on, I think. And I think most excitingly for me and you is that it will be easy for a manager to come in to this situation and kind of just coast, just sort of coast and say, well, whatever, it's not really a big deal. And it really isn't. I think now he's very much like, all right, well, all I can tell you right now is what hasn't worked. And he has already admitted the deficiencies in the side. And he said, compare our bench to their bench. Like, we're not even in the same zip code. However, I'm going to try different things. I'm going to put Aaron Herrera up front again. I'm going to give Jackson Hopkins an opportunity to start and play up front and captain the side. I think that's at least we have to watch these games.
Yes.
So for us, wonderful. I'm very happy that he's not just saying like, yeah, throw it out there again and we'll get done with this year as quick as possible.
Yeah, and Jackson Hopkins is now that's like becoming a bit of a story. That's like at the end of the year, what I want. I want something to build upon. Like, it just, for so long it's been just just terribleness and awfulness amongst the roster. And now I'm starting to get these little signs of things to build on. I found this lineup kind of funny because I felt like it was like, well, here are the 11 players of the players available. These are the players that have, quote unquote, had the best season, or the, certainly the most talented. Aaron Herrera's maybe struggled this year, still an incredibly talented player. Sheneg's been good. Okay, we can have some qualms with the back line. Antley's been fairly decent up there. And then rather than just trying to say, well, we'll just throw Benteke Light, he says, nope, we're going to throw Hopkins up top. We'll play Herrera out there. And honestly, it looked pretty effective. And then, Matty Peltola as well, I thought had a good game.
He did.
Kojima got a little bit more spark, had a pretty nice opportunity. Even Jacob Murrell had a couple chances.
I was going to bring him up.
One of which was offside. I appreciate Rene trying out some different things. I look back, I look back, I think Troy Lesane was still given a raw deal, but it definitely felt like he was out of ideas or felt like he couldn't maybe make these types of moves that Rene. So maybe he was kind of hamstrung a little bit. He's like, well, I'm saving my job right now. So right now it's like attrition. And then if I'm around here, we'll get Laquinhos in here and maybe we'll be good. And then, obviously the team went a different direction.
It's like he was because he was playing for his job there, he was not inclined to make bold choices. Like it's better to fail making the conventional choice in that case than be like, Jackson Hopkins is now the striker. Aaron Herrera plays right wing now. That's not something typically if you did that and in the position where you're about to lose your job, everyone would be like, oh, he is just reaching into a bag and pulling out names at this point.
Yeah. It does tell me that I think there was, I think Rene did his homework on this team. I think he watched the games. Maybe while he was doing this, he was maybe picking up on a couple things, maybe watch some games from last year to kind of prepare himself up. I think this guy's not coming into this completely blind. I think he is doing his homework. He's trying to come up with some ways to make this team look a little different. They brought back a press. They out-created, despite not having the possession, out-created Inter Miami in that first half. They were all over them. Probably should have been 2-0 heading into that second half with a couple nice opportunities.
It still blows my mind that we don't know anything about this man.
Yeah.
I don't know what his voice sounds like. Like in a world in which there's nothing else to talk about from a media perspective at all, end the season, you don't talk about games because the team is bad and stinky and they just got eliminated. Wouldn't it be really easy to just be like, all right, we're gonna do a 20-minute sit down, like a friendly team sit down with the coach, find out about his life, introduce him to the fans, and they haven't done it at all. It's like the biggest slam dunk. It's wild. It is really wild to me.
Yeah. By the way, Matty Peltola, Footmob's man of the match, won the most duels of any player, won 9 duels. They said it's 8. I believe I saw the on the DC night had 9 duels won. So that's the player I'm going to kind of watch because he's a player that I think very highly of. I still think could be a really good center midfielder for this team. And one of those players that I'm like, this is a player that was highly touted when he came here. I think he could be a good player. I just think maybe the coaching situation, it was very clear for whatever reason, Troy Lesane preferred Borisino over Matty Peltola. And I think we're seeing that Peltola certainly has a little more of the sort of calm qualities. He gets the assist, a fortunate assist, mind you. That was definitely more Hopkins recognizing the advantage, but it's an assist nonetheless. I thought he had a very strong game. Again, I've talked about Kojima. Obviously, Hopkins gets the goal. Just a really, really nice strike. I don't think there's anything else you can really say other than he picks it up, makes a nice first touch, strikes it into the back of the net. And then, you want to talk a little bit about Jacob Murrell. He came out in the second half, probably the most prominent player to come out in the second half.
A guy who has been in witness protection for months at this point. I think it'll be interesting to see, where does this new coach imagine he fits? Because it appeared now multiple coaches have said, I don't think you're a 9 at this level. Maybe you'll play the wing. And that's probably still where he's going to stick in this new configuration. But he, was driving towards the goal. He had something to prove. We never know what these players what their opinion was of Troy and what their opinion was of where Troy saw them and how he viewed them as players. But he seemed to me similar to the way Maddie seemed in this game, and similar to how Jackson has played with this opportunity. Players that seem to benefit the most from a fresh slate. And also, to your point again, we're looking for something to be excited about for the rest of this season, and it is all down to what youth players look like they're going to make a step. They didn't really make it during the year because here is where we are, but there's nothing else to play for except for that. So hopefully over the next 2 months, all those players continue to keep taking steps forward.
Yeah. Trust me, guys. Trust me, y'all. We're gonna get to the bad stuff. We're gonna get to we're gonna maybe dunk on this team a little bit coming up. So trust me, it's not all gonna be sunshines and rainbows. I mean, it was very clear watching this game there was a talent deficiency. I thought the second half, Inter Miami kind of woke up. Maybe they were sleepwalking a little bit through this game, and there were some adjustments made to the team. DePaul come in. I always thought Busquets came in. Suarez came in. Inter Miami sort of started to have a more run of the play, just sort of underselling that this team is still very much undersized in these types of encounters. The goal itself, I mean, that came. I think you said it's interesting. You said DePaul had the assist, but I feel like that came off a deflection off the corner. But I guess he gets credited for it.
He's been credited anyway.
Yeah, but Rodriguez just hits a absolute pile driver of a shot. Just one of those like outside of the foot like whip shots that just kind of starts to rise and just move with pace. It's I don't know if you can really do much about that. Maybe try to close him down.
Yeah.
But other than that, I will say too, another player to me that again that continues to just kind of have these performances that stick out is Barraza in goal. It's like it's really feeling difficult to imagine how like June gets back onto the field this year. And I don't know if he'll be back. And we got a question from Brendan Cartwright. So now DC's eliminated. Do you just start June the rest of the season? Sure, it could permanently destroy his confidence, but we also have him in our contract for like the next 3 years. I do not. I don't know. I think there's a chance he will get another shot. I think there's a chance maybe you will see him get maybe one last shot before the year closes out. We got a lot of games left to go. We're out of the playoffs. We're done. We're cooked as far as that's concerned. So, but as far as starting the rest of the year, I mean, maybe if there's a little bit of a mood shift, maybe you can get him some confidence. I don't know. What do you think? Do you keep going with Barraza?
Mm-hmm. I would give June more opportunities than he got since he was benched. There's just no reason, like literally no reason to. You do need to figure out what you are going to do. If Rene is, I think if he doesn't start in the rest of the season, they're going to move him in the off season because he's got no use for that. A player he can't use that has no confidence. So if I'm him, I would like to see how he does, how he handles, how he handles adversity under a new manager. And then if it's not gonna work, then it's not gonna work. But there's no consequences right now, either other than a wooden spoon. But at this point, who gives a crap? Like we already eliminated in August, so who cares? See what you got. Well, there's only a couple players that you haven't gotten the opportunities to really figure out who they are. Garrison Tubbs, I think, could probably use some more minutes along the line, and then June. But other than that, everybody else has gotten sufficient minutes to figure out who they are and what they are. The game tape says it. So that's I would say it's definitely a possibility.
I think honestly, I think at the end of the year, in my mind, I think June would still have a lot of value back in Korea. I mean, he is a highly touted player. I feel like you can make this move. I think you have the conversation with him. Like, do you want to be back here? Do you want to give this another shot? Do you recognizing, or are you ready to just go home? Is it time to just we'll find an offer, probably won't make our money back, but let's we free up that U22 slot and we kind of move on from this, because clearly this wasn't the right situation to bring him into. I don't know. He's a player I think that would have certainly benefited from an MLS Next Pro team. Like just slotting him into that, loading him down to that, and giving him an opportunity. Does he get an opportunity like Gavin Turner? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Forgot about him for a second.
Yeah. He's been doing. I've been getting the foot mob notifications. He's kind of slowed down a little bit, but still getting the minutes down for Chattanooga, which personally I think was a great move for him. If he's going to move to an MLS Next Pro team, moving to a team that is an independent team trying to win is sometimes somewhat of a better scenario. If you're not going to be, rather than some other, MLS's teams, MLS Next Pro, or even, potentially USL.
I'd send Merle out too.
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. But I think right now, I would not be surprised if eventually maybe we get closer to the end of the season. I don't know where Chattanooga sit in MLS Next Pro. But there may be a chance he comes back depending on when their playoff starts, and maybe there's some last minute runouts for him just to kind of see how he looks. Anything else maybe we want to talk about for this game? And any other items we really want to bring up?
Other than the crowd noise or lack thereof.
Let's talk about that. This is watching this game. It's so painfully obvious. There's no drums. I think it's been mentioned on a lot of the, on Reddit. It's been mentioned a lot that the crowd is basically dead. I feel like for a lot of fans, this year has really just been like it's been the straw that's broke the camel's back. A lot of fans are leaving. A lot of fans are talking about they're not going to renew next year, which again, I say smart move. This team's given not even this performance would make me say, oh, maybe they'll be good this next year. You should buy season tickets. No. Let them earn your trust back. I think that's going to be the big thing with a lot of this organization. So yeah, crowd noise was bad. It was a lot of Miami fans at this game, a lot of pink nestled in, a lot of conflicting cheers when there would be things that would go against Miami. It was certainly very much a loud crowd. It became somewhat difficult to sell. It was pretty loud too when Miami scored. So it was loud when Jackson scored, but also kind of loud too when Miami scored. So it was
things happening. There was a bias towards action at that more than anything else. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 games left at Audi Field the rest of the season. One of them is a friendly against America, which is going to be loud, but not with DC United fans.
I will be there. So
okay, well, with one DC United fan, that's good.
I don't know, man. I got an America jersey. Maybe I'll make up my mind. I'll bring both and make it.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time you've been in Audi Field wearing another team's jersey, would it now, Ted?
I'm kidding. Richmond's different from Club America, so
I'll listen. You better. All right, and then Orlando.
Maybe I'll pull. I don't know if you watched the wife thinks I should do this. I don't know if you watched the USA. It was a USA Mexico game, and it was like the guy was wearing like a Mexico shirt. And then like the U.S. scored and the camera caught him and he like took off the Mexico shirt and he had like the Club America or the
well,
US
why don't you just
underneath.
Start with the Club America jersey if in that case as soon as the whistle starts blowing.
I just hope that game. Please tell me that game is not going to be 7 or 8 academy player. Like, please tell me I'm going to see some like.
It shouldn't be. I mean, again, who cares? But make it at least interesting. Don't have another Celtic 7-0 beatdown like it was last June or whatever it was.
To me, that's a game where you can like try some different things. You can maybe put some players out there. Like I'm not saying like Benteke, obviously, like
play him.
That might
absolutely play him. Why?
Okay.
No, for sure you do. I would.
Okay.
These games don't matter anymore. Like, at least make it interesting. You're gonna make people come out for it.
That's actually true. Very, very true. Actually,
like on the road, like throw the Lions to the Wolves or whatever.
I am a little
frustrated. Who cares?
I'm a little frustrated. I won't get to see Zendejas because he is with the U.S. men's national team, so won't get to see him. But so it'll be a weekend America side as well too.
It will. So that one will be, but it'll still be a pro Mexico crowd. Then you got Orlando for United night out, so their Pride night, which is typically pretty well attended. And then DC United versus Philadelphia at home on Federal Employees Night. If you could not find a more dispirited and dejected group of individuals more than DC United fans, it might be Federal Employees right now. So that's a match made in heaven. And then the last home game of the season is Charlotte that next weekend. So basically, I say all that to say, next game is going to be loud. But if you're watching on TV, the Orlando game won't be very loud. The Philly game will be extremely quiet, and the Charlotte game will be quiet. So that'll be a better barometer of the vibes of the fan base versus the Miami game where you had, a pro goals being scored audience.
Yeah, very much a casual audience. People trying to see Messi, and Messi would not be there.
We had a question from the chat from Todd on Facebook. Says, when does Clark start? Well, Clark got a concussion in training because there are 9,000 black cats that just zip back and forth in front of DC United at training.
This year is Sideshow Bob stepping on the rakes over and over again. It's just like a constant barrage.
We didn't get to even really talk about this. Why this move pissed me off, with further info coming out. So he is under contract the rest of the season. Then there are club options. He's not under contract specifically through the next year. So we've paid this money to make a decision on this player when we've given ourselves a couple minutes basically to do that. The Montreal got 7 times their initial investment for the player being on the team for a year and a half. But also they kept the sell on. And the reason why there was so much confusion around where he was going to go is he wants to go back to Germany, and he's already gotten interest. So we are the way station for this player. As soon as he can get a flight out of here and go back to the Bundesliga or even Bundesliga 2, he's gone. And we paid this money so I guarantee there's just no chance unless this player falls completely on his face, in which case it would be very much our style to pick up his option for the next 2 years. If he embarrasses himself, we'll just be like, "This, you could just stay here. You found your level. This is good for you." But if he plays well, he's gone, and we paid this money. At least it's not GAM. It's just cash. It's the owner's money that is no longer here, so I don't really care so much. Yeah. But it was very strange. It was the fact that the coach, Rene, saw him against Montreal. I was like, "Oh, I like this guy. We'll see what we can do about him. Is he available? We can make that happen." So this is a player it's not a long-term fit necessarily. We don't have a long time to decide how he fits into the roster. He's already injured. We don't know how long that will take. It's just a really bizarre signing. I saw you made a face about the investment originally. What's your nit to pick on that one?
I think you're right. Was it an overpay? Sure. I do, I think the last investment was a draft pick and $50K in GAM. GAM is going to be different, like as far as like a value stake. Even $50K in GAM is going to be different. If we had given up $700K in GAM, I would have been extremely upset about this move. I'd be like, this is an absolute waste of money. Again, $700K.
That's 1 3/4 Kojimas in GAM.
I do wonder, I think DC gets this. They probably go ahead and just exercise the option on his contract. I know he obviously wanted to make that move to Europe. I do wonder, how much. Certainly, there was interest when he, blew up in 2020. I sometimes wonder, I feel like a lot of players kind of judge the interest in Europe maybe a little differently. I think if he blows it up, if he plays extremely well, I mean, there will be a massive. I know Montreal kept a little bit of the sell on, but there's still a sizable amount DC could get for this player. And if he blows it up and does extremely well, maybe the 700,000 looks like a small investment. I think the more likely scenario is that he is average. Maybe he gets a few assists, maybe he contributes a little bit. And I think maybe he moves on to another MLS side because that's just kind of what happens. And so again,
you think we don't keep him? We don't pick up his option for 26?
No, I think we do. They would pick it up for 26.
You mean so he goes on from there to another MLS team?
Yeah. I think eventually they pick up his option for 26, 27. I don't think he will. I think this team is going to, unless he needs to recognize that these moments, these games coming up are extremely important for him to justify the confidence in the coach, to justify what he's going to bring next season.
And to try to get out of town.
Yeah. And to try to get out of town. He's on his 3rd MLS club since 2022. Like he was at Minnesota, he then was moved to Montreal, and then so there starts to be a pattern about kind of how he's been moving. I still haven't gone back to watch the Montreal game to see what Renee kind of saw in him. I feel like that was maybe just a name he recognized from moving to Europe and how good he looked in 2020. So,
man, I don't know anything about him. I feel like a young player that moves around that much, like it does not reflect well upon. Usually, this is vague guessing, but usually there's like a work ethic problem, or there's like a professionalism problem when a player has these options and can't stick anywhere and just keeps moving down the pyramid at a really young age. So I don't know anything about him. I don't know if there's any rumors of that at all.
I was listening. If you ever listened to the Total Soccer Show, Jeff Reuter, I believe on the Total Soccer Show, they were talking about the winners and losers. Obviously, we were highlighted as
real loser
in the transfer. Yeah. No, they said the Car Clay was an underrated trade, and maybe no, they were completely panning that on multiple levels. But the what Jeff Reuter kind of said was like this feels a lot like Juan Agudelo, who burst onto the scene, had so much talent, and then just got kind of like bounced around MLS sides from, I think he was in New York, then he was in New England for a little bit. Then I honestly would have
he's
to
good at USL Championship. He's like a 10-goal scorer. He found his level.
I'm sure he's fantastic in USL. But that's kind of what it feels like for this player. So, and you also recognize he thinks he's better on the ball than Jeff Reuter thinks he is. So I don't know. That's certainly a player to watch assuming he gets concussion clearance. Otherwise, I think he very well could have been out there, maybe either in place of Prani or probably potentially up top. Maybe Jackson Hopkins slots in. Maybe there's a little bit of a
can't
lineup.
Do that now to him. Now he's a hot, can't not play the hot hand.
Well, he slotted back into the midfield and had a pretty good link up with Jacob Murrell. So
Jackson Hopkins going to screw around and become the leading scorer of this team in September. Just going to keep starting, keep scoring.
Here's a good question. Hoya's DCU. Assume ownership will not sell the team. Probably not. Probably. And I think we got another question about whether MLS could force a sale of the team. I want to say I think fans should not buy season tickets. I think they should send your message, look for cheap resale tickets, give as little money as you can. You don't need to. I think you can still watch the team. You can still, buy the season pass, $100. Watch your team
for free on Fox.
Watch for free on Fox. Go support a local business that shows the games around the DC area. Go out and watch the game, at a bar or something like that. Share in the misery with other friends. But I do think the message will be important to show that a lot of people are suffering. Be nice to the ticket reps, as always. These are just people doing their jobs. They're going to call you, try to convince you to re-up your tickets. Be nice, but politely decline. Say you're not seeing the team have any sort of direction. But what does ownership need to do to win your dollars and support? Show some sort of coherent vision. We are 2 years now, and I think I am not sure what the vision of this team is. It is now under second coach. It feels just as rudderless, and it feels even more rudderless. Ownership. Jason needs to chill out. Jason needs to recognize that there is not going to be a quick fix to get this team up and running. You either trust in your GM and your assembled front office to actually do the work to bring in a roster, or you don't. And I still go back to this in 2025. The Pogba signing for me represents just the absolute worst tendencies of Jason Levy and about trying to fix this team, about saying, here's a quick fix. We'll bring in a big player from Europe, like we did with Rooney. That'll fix it. No, you need to recognize that you have to build something sustainable, and that takes time, especially when you're bad, because not a lot of people want to come here when you're bad. So you have to convince and to just look like you have some sort of direction. I don't know. Is there any? It's not about the money, man. Renee's going to get who he wants. He's going to get. I think he's going to
Within
get two
reason.
DPs. If we don't keep Benteke, he's going to get two DPs in the winter. He's going to get maybe some slew of some U22 slots. He's going to get financially, he's going to be supported on the roster about sort of maxing this team out. The real problem is always going to be is there enough of a coherent direction from top to bottom to actually make a difference? Or is it just like it was with Rooney, where it's just like a scattershot of players that are just being signed and kind of brought in? There's no real person who has a belief or an idea of like, what does it mean to be on a DC United team? So yeah, I don't know if you have any, sorry, I maybe took that whole question and maybe you have nothing else to add, but.
No, I would say, repeat the question again.
Sorry, it says, assume ownership will not sell the team. What does ownership need to do to win your dollars and support?
It cannot be done. There's nothing that this individual is going to do to change my mind about this individual and the way that he runs a team and the type of organizational culture he leads. I think putting aside sort of the team's performance on the field, which is dog-ass for years and years and years, the culture is dead. Like it is the team, what this team was off the field, how it spoke about itself, how it related to fans, how it talked about fans, how it carried its history on its back, how it was aspirational, the place it occupied within the DC media market, the place it occupied within Spanish-speaking communities and other immigrant communities is all gone. Like all of it is gone. It is a hollow vessel of the thing that made it special, and it's now just a franchise in a place that has a stadium. So I think that there's nothing. The ownership, all that stuff could have been done for no money, $0 to maintain those things and build those bridges. Some money, but not a lot. But not really a lot. Those are mostly choices made and sort of things abandoned. And I don't think he's going to ever change those things because he doesn't think that they're important. He doesn't see the value in them. He doesn't invest in them. So there isn't. I would like to see him sell I'll still love the team in spite of all that forever, and we'll do this podcast and whatever else. But like, it won't get better until he's gone because he doesn't have the understanding of what made the team what it was, the value to the community that it provided. He doesn't have he just doesn't get it. He never will. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah. I mean, I will agree with that. I think a winning team can mend a lot of things if it gets exciting to be in there. And I think that's all I really want to see at this point is just something that's gonna win. Kevin says, realistically, how far are we from competing another 3 to 5 transfer windows? Do you have the concern?
Class of 2037.
Let me say your definition of competing, is it 8-9 in the playoff race? I think if you nail one window, you probably can launch DC into that conversation if they actually do improve the team from being a top level team in the Eastern Conference. 3 to 5, like 5 windows. Like you are so far away from getting there, and that requires just nailing. I mean, even the 3 windows is all of them. You have to nail every single window.
Every
winter,
personal
summer
decision you make.
Yeah,
it has to be right.
And so far, I mean, we've seen some good things, some bad things. We have not seen this team nail this.
They haven't had a perfect window since the last season at RFK. The summer window at RFK. That's the last time they've had a perfect window where all the acquisition choices were right, all of the players going out were the correct choices out. It's been that long, so that's at least my. We could break down the windows, but that's the last time I felt like, oh, that was. I would call that ambition. I would call that like bold ambition.
When was that?
This is Areola, Canals, Zoltan.
Yeah,
that was the last time they're like, oh, we're gonna buy 3 starters and they're gonna be ready to go, and they're gonna be here for a while. Ever since.
Yeah. Brendan Zabrowski, do you think Hopkins will continue to line up close to the goal, or was it a lineup out of necessity? I'm going to say out of necessity. I think you will see. I think you'll see Benteke back out there. I think you'll see Hopkins on the field. I think you have to keep rewarding him because he played well.
I think it'd be funny if they don't, and there's fans that are chanting his name, then they're like and booing Benteke every time he touches the ball. Boo!
I don't think the energy will be there much for DC. And then Keith Slack says, any way MLS can force Levian to sell due to sheer incompetence and mismanagement of what has been a flagship franchise.
Well, there are some jobs in this world where you're not allowed to be fired, but if you can control the means of doing things, potentially, say, looking up the mortgage history of Fed governors, you can get people fired. So who knows? Typically, no, there's not a way for the league to get rid of owners, barring Donald Sterling-esque behaviors. Yeah. Which, for all you want to say about Jason Levian, I don't think that's him. So I guess be thankful about that. But
or Dan Snyder, yeah.
Or Dan Snyder.
I mean, it's sad to say. I think unfortunately, it's going to with the amount of investments he has as far as trying to build out the stadium in Baltimore, what he's done to kind of build out the stadium here in DC, the land, the value. I mean, it's going to be incredibly hard. And I will say, be careful what you wish for. As far as if this team sells, I need I warn you about the certain foreign governments that have a lot of money where they literally buying DC would probably be in the drop in the bucket. And MLS has stated that they are open to it. I have a great fear. That what would finally just kill this team off for good, and I don't know if I would feel comfortable doing a podcast about it. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable really rooting for this team anymore if this happened. But the public, the PFI public investment fund out of Saudi Arabia, the team was already. I still think about that trip out to Saudi Arabia, and I still wonder if there was maybe a move by Jason to maybe try to get the Saudi government to invest in the team and to maybe bankroll the team a little bit. If maybe that was part of a move to do that. And it was so visually repulsed by the fans. It was, talked about a lot in the media, and maybe he just said, no, maybe no, let me see if I can still run this thing and still find other owners. I don't know. That's just something I've always thought about.
Yo Gotti, come on down. give us $50,000 or whatever the capital call on these little things are. That's the other thing the thing that would change my mind about him a little bit is if he made a call for new investment, raised capital, and diluted his own shares to bring in somebody that had real game-changing money, and then just if he took his leadership stake down to like 30%. Or he and Kaplan both gave some and did that, and then brought somebody in at a co-equal or slightly below level with a big cash infusion, and then let that would be great. But the problem is that he wants to keep the highest share possible. He wants to build these two stadiums, and then and only then can he turn this whole. I have created an ecosystem for which you to build upon, and I will take the full percentage that I am owed, and then go along and finally become the guy. Because I always talk about Levian as the owner with no money, the broke owner. He's the guy that like speaks for the rich people in the room, and now he'll become one. Because if the amount of money he's going to take away from this sale is going to be substantive, and then he's now going to be one of the rich guys. So
yeah,
take your money, man.
I think this team. He is the only person, like you talk about some of the stuff he's done with the media. He was on a podcast, Tried and True at one point that still ran. And you talk about also the Pogba type.
Levian was on Tried and True? I don't remember that at all.
He was. Yeah, we pulled audio from that. We can go find it. Yeah, wow. He was on it. He was on it doing an interview. At one point, but this guy is very active as an owner, and I feel like this year he was like, I'm going to bring in a guy I like in Ali, but I'm going to have him do all the stuff that like I don't have time to worry about, make some of the other signings, do the scouting, bring in the players. But when I see a big move, that's when I'm going to take action. And I think he's a very involved owner, and I think again it's pure incompetence in a lot of ways in how he's kind of run things. It would have to be a wholesale change in his personality. And like you said, yeah, I don't think he will do it. Do I think things on the field could get better? Yeah, sure. I think they could get better. Teams, Montreal has an equally bad ownership. They've still managed to find their way into the playoffs when they let some people and then there are actually some good decisions that happen on the field. This sometimes things can't. A lot of teams have had bad owners and managed to put together good seasons. So I think there is a chance that next season could be better. They could come out and they could make maybe some signings that don't get a lot of attention. They're still predicted 10th, 11th in the standings, but some things hit, they come together, and suddenly they're sitting right in that middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference could also regress. Who knows if Lionel Messi is going to be here next year? New York are doing their sad transfer window slide. There are other teams out there that might start to regress or might start to pull a win. There's a lot of teams going win now, and then suddenly you have to shed all those players to try to make your salary cap fit. So things can change very, very quickly in this league. It is a salary capped league. Yeah. So, let's talk.
Will Chang come back?
Will Chang come back? We got a question here from Roscoe. Let's shift gears a little bit. The team that is actually winning, that is actually fun to watch, is the Washington Spirit. 7-0 win, and then they quieted a crowd up in San Francisco watching Bay FC play at Comisco Park. Is that it? You're the baseball dude. What's the San Francisco Giants stadium?
I think it's AT&T now.
Okay.
It's not Comiskey. That was somehow magically. You made yourself older. That's like a 45-year-old's answer. What San Francisco is? I think it's AT&T Park.
AT&T Park. Wow. Okay.
It used to be Comiskey Park back in the 80s. That's why I was like, no, that was Comiskey's in Chicago.
Someone brought it up. Someone mentioned
Candlestick is old San Francisco. Now it is AT&T Park.
AT&T Park. Yeah. But yeah. So 40,000 fans at that game. The Spirit. I don't think they played what's that?
It's Oracle. I'm sorry. I'm very
Oracle
sorry.
Park. You're just aging yourself, man. You're falling down on the baseball stuff. You're falling.
It was never AT&T. I don't even know what AT&T Poker is. I don't know where that came from. It's a Tuesday. It's not my podcast day. My brain's not on. Continue.
Yeah, I think this was a. I don't think the Spirit played like a purely dominating performance. They were just extremely clinical, very, very clinical in this game. I think 3-0 in the first half. Really nice finish from Corey Bethune. And equally just like one of those shots that it's like the keeper's waiting for the touch and the touch doesn't come, and then suddenly they realize they're out of position because they're waiting for the touch. I'm trying to remember who scored that goal, and I should have it off the top of my head. And then one was an own goal. It was really just a case of the Spirit just being extremely clinical. Trinity Rodman got her first start for the season. And I want to see who scored that goal because that is really bothering me that I can't remember. Kate Wiesner.
Croy got the first one, a second one, and Wiesner got the first, I think, right?
Yeah, Wiesner got the first, sort of a curling ball at the outside of the post. And those goals are some of the funniest things you'll see in
that was a goalkeeper should have come for that ball and made a play on it.
It's the goalkeeper waiting for the ball to deflect off somebody, and then it doesn't happen, and then they're just out of position. But the to Bay FC's credit, they kind of stormed back in this game, made it 3-2. I would say certainly the scoreline of 3-0, or I think it was 3-1,
3-1
at halftime, did not match the performance that you watched out there in the field. It was certainly Bay FC having the run of play, Bay FC generating the opportunities, but the Spirit just being the most clinical side out there in the field. To the Spirit's credit, though, they held on. By the way, they got 0.56 expected goals, and they got 3 goals out of that. So that should tell you everything about sort of how the performance went. But But yeah, they kind of held on there for dear life, but they picked up a pretty impressive road win. It's really incredible how good this team is on the road. It almost makes me want to be like, they've been better on the road than they've been at home. Almost wants me to say that, hey, maybe we should be a lower seed. They vaulted up to second. The San Diego Wave, Orlando Pride, and Portland Thorns all, I believe, lost in their performance. So, and now they've got the CONCACAF Champions Cup for the Spirit. And we got a question from Roscoe. This was last week. I'm not sure if we answered it. How much of the Champions Cup be a priority for the Spirit?
It should not be until the finals. I think they should be able to run the B team out there through the group stage, and that should be that.
Maybe with the exception of they do, I think, have one. They have Gotham FC.
Yeah,
no, they've got
fine.
Gotham FC and Monterrey. So those are going to be good sides. So I don't think you can do that. I think you take this. I mean, this is a continental championship. I think games versus Alianza and the Vancouver Rise. Yes, you should not. You should not be playing your A squad there. You should definitely be playing your B squad.
You shouldn't have even brought Trinity Rodman and Croy Bethune down to Alianza. Yeah, they should have been able to kick their heels up back at home. But they brought everybody.
I don't know, man. It's still fun. I want to see, like, so they got obviously they got this game. They'll have Gotham FC Wednesday, October 1st. And then they will then get their home match against Monterrey. So they've got a couple tough matches coming up. Oh, that's it. So they only play each other once. That's interesting. Kind of a weird slotted home and away. But
this is the beginning of this tournament. If you remember CONCACAF Champions League in the early days, very low budget, logos falling off of jerseys. So keep that in mind as you watch this tournament. They're building this out from the ground up.
I believe that Jason Anderson was saying that he literally was trying to get some form of like a media, either press conference or something, and literally there was nothing. This is all just extremely, extremely bare bones as far as an organization, but still a fun tournament. Remember when DC used to compete in these? That was a lot of fun.
I do remember them.
Now
we don't even. Give me Super League, give me Leagues Cup, give me anything. I was talking about how DC United hasn't done a video announcing the coach. I will tell you that they did just post, and it was an ad for Fruitist, and it's Lucas McNaughton putting blueberries in his mouth. So they're still posting things. Don't think they're not posting things. They're posting things.
They did do the press conference. I don't know. I did listen to the pre-match press conference. I think that's going to suffice as the press event for the coach. Fox 5 was there. There was a lot more attendance, I guess, at the game. Maybe there was more at the home game. They took some Zoom questions, I think, at the post-match game during the home game. So that kind of tells you I've been on some of those press conferences. I raised my hand for the Zoom. Never got a question heard at certain points. It was always directly from those that made the trip. But I was going to say something else. But we also forgot to mention for DC, you can watch replays of the game on Fox 5. So
I said that. As I mentioned, you said if you don't want to pay for tickets, you can just stick an antenna out the window, and 2 hours after the game.
Yeah, I do want to ask. I do want to know. Well, unlike me, I'm sorry, I do have to pay for it because I do not get Fox 5 because I live in Richmond. But if you live in the area, yeah, well, I'll take the lower cost of living, buddy. So, all right, I think that's gonna do it. Wait.
Go ahead. Ryan Martin got fired. Let go at the end of the season from Loudoun. There's not much to cover there. And Next in Line, I don't think doesn't do a podcast anymore. But Ryan Martin has finally taken this team to the play, or is about to take this team to the playoffs. Finally got money. Finally had some players that are not just DC United draft players that couldn't hack it, and they're not going to bring him back. And I think that he's going to have his choice of jobs. And we like Ryan Martin, and he's a friend of the show. I've been on the show 2 or 3 times, and I think that he deserves better. So I'm happy. I hope he finds that. Hope he finds a good landing spot.
Yeah. Make a call. Make a call out there, Richmond. Just make a call. Just see.
Lower cost of living. He just said it. You can get out of Loudoun and go down to Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, just it's almost like I feel like the male soccer teams in the DC area are like trying to outdo themselves. Any team not named the Spirit is trying to outdo themselves with stupidity. It literally makes no sense. He finally gets a roster. He is also having to put up with an organization that literally spent, even if they spent money on players, they spent no money on anything else. You're out there playing. That guy stuck through it all, finally gets a winning side, and then basically the ownership's like, nope, never mind. You're done. You're done. Apparently the game, according, I think I read that the game against Charleston was like a win or you're going to get let go at the end of the season type move. I think it would be hilarious. It would be hilarious. It would be this team makes the playoffs, goes on a run all the way to the USL Championship final, wins the championship final, and they still let him go. That would just be just like peak, like just incompetence as far as Loudoun United. But
at least it wouldn't be DC United's fault that time.
Yeah. Well, not fully, I guess. I don't know. No? Maybe they're like, no, get rid of him. We need something to distract from our embarrassment. Go be embarrassing.
Spirit aren't helping in that regard. We need someone. We need someone to be incompetent.
Exactly. So we say, oh man, maybe DC's not as bad. Maybe I will drive down the field. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will catch you guys next week. Vamos.